Hey guys, I'm about to build another tiny whip here, and this one's going to be featuring the new BeeCore board. This is from Banggood. Has a built-in F3 flight controller. It comes in 3 versions: a FrSky, a FlySky, and a DSM-2. This is basically the same dimensions as the board on the Inductrix, and it's rotated 45 degrees, and also the same dimensions as the B-Brain, which comes from Newbie Drone, but that one features an F1 flight controller, and this one has an F3 flight controller, so it's going to be probably a little bit easier to tune. We'll have to see. As I said, this particular version comes with a built-in FrSky receiver. See, there's the Atmel chip there, and then on this side, you got the CC 2500 chip. So those two comprise the FrSky receiver, and then you obviously got your F3 CPU here, and I think on this side over here is the MPU. The 6500 MPU is that one right there in the middle. It doesn't come with the battery lead soldered on right here. It does come provided with a micro low-C connector. So I'm going to actually be using some different batteries with this build. Let me show you what's going on here. So I picked up these 260 milliamp hour LiPos, 1S LiPos from Banggood that happen to have the micro low-C connector, but they also fit the frame that the E010 comes with. Change to get this to focus. And they just happen to fit the frame that the E010 comes with, which is what I'm going to be using to build this. And it just slots into the bottom here, like so. It's actually a perfect fit for this battery tray in the bottom here, as you can see. So I got a bunch of these batteries and going to give them a try. I think they're just a little bit heavier than the stick batteries. I'll get a weight measurement a bit later in the video. But this is the one I'm going to be using, along with the micro low-C connector that comes with the board. So I know that a lot of the problems, power related, in terms of the battery dying and cutting off flight times to like a minute or less, have a lot to do with the connector, because the tiny whip batteries have the little 1.25 millimeter pitch JST connectors that are basically breaking down after a little while and prevent the current from flowing from the battery to the board. So this hopefully this setup will provide better flight times and more power, so that's something that we'll have to see. The board also comes with these 4 little rubber dampening balls for the connection to the frame, as well as a set of screws, self-tapping screws here to screw the board down to the frame itself. So I'm going to be soldering on my micro low-C connector here, and also a little connector for the camera. And the camera I'm going to be using is the one that I reviewed a few days ago. This is the Bold Clash F01. It's a really tiny camera. It's like 3.5 grams, and it comes with a whip antenna, so should be pretty durable in terms of crashes. And the motors that I'll be going with are the Spintech 6.5 millimeter. I think these are the fast or very fast motors. They're about 17,300 kV, I believe, so performance should be pretty good. Now, the connectors here for those are already soldered on the board. They'll correspond to these connectors here on the end of the wire. So should be pretty easy to put this together compared to the last video I put together. Put a card here in the corner if you want to check it out. That was pretty popular, where I was using a different board. It was more like a I don't know, a square board that was sort of fitted in there with a FrSky receiver it worked out pretty well. It flies pretty good. Still fly it, but I think this is going to be actually a little bit lighter. So, but I'll compare it to the other one after I'm done building it. So I'll film the build here, and then we'll configure it in Betaflight. Okay, I got my connectors soldered on to the board. On the top, got this little short connector for the camera lead, and on the bottom, I've got my battery connector here. So it should go into the frame pretty easily. Hopefully, this won't take too long. These little rubber dampening things might be a little bit too long, so I might cut them down if they stick the board out too much. But I'm going to try and see if I can screw it down with the in the way it is right now. Okay, finally got the board mounted. It's quite a bit fiddly getting these screws in with the little dampeners, and basically you want to try and get the board as level as possible. It's not super critical that that's perfectly level, because you can just set the tiny whip down on a flat surface and level it later. But I try to get it as level as I possibly could. And there's only 3 mounting points for the E010 frame, because the 4th one doesn't exist here on the back of this frame. If you're using the clear Inductrix frame, you'll have 4 screw mounting points. So the next step here is to go ahead and stick our motors in, and then run our wires to the motor connectors. So you want to have the black and white wire motor in the, let's see, how is this oriented? This is forward up here. Its top is forward, so you want the black and white over here on motor 2 and 3, and red and blue are going to be on motors 1 and 4. Okay, I've got all the motors mounted. I ran the wires through these little retainers here and this little channel, and the excess wire just goes sort of in that space between the battery compartment and the board underneath, and just plugs right in. I did twist the wires here just to keep things a little bit neater, so it's optional. You can do that, and you just shove all the excess wire underneath, and then I just straightened out my antenna here and ran it along the side of the board to keep it out of the prop, so it should be there. I'm going to put on the props now and figure out a way to mount the camera to the center of the board, and just about done. Let's take a quick look at the weight difference between these two batteries. Stick battery comes in around 5.89 grams, 5.9, and the 260 with the micro loci connector, a little over 7 grams, so roughly 1.1 gram difference between these two batteries. And this has a higher milliamp hour capacity. It's 260 versus 205 for the MyLipo, and this has a better connector. I think this is a much more going to be much more reliable connector in terms of consistency of power. So I'm confident that this battery will perform better. Okay, so I changed my mind about the way to mount the camera, or at least the connector part. I decided to directly solder it to the battery lead. There was just too much wire, and it was just kind of unwieldy and probably unnecessary weight. And I'm just going to use some double-sided foam tape here to just stick it to the board. And then I'm going to use a rubber band on these little hooks here on the side, loop it over, and that should hold the camera on. Okay, so here it is all assembled. Got the camera mounted and everything is ready to go. Just need to take a look at the Cleanflight configuration. I just want to show you guys what it looks like in Cleanflight and the settings and such. It's probably flyable in Cleanflight. I just don't like the way Cleanflight flies and the way its PID tuning works. So I'm going to go straight to Betaflight for the initial flight, maiden flight for this. So I will show you the config in Cleanflight, and then I'm going to go ahead and flash Betaflight and set that up, and then we'll do a flight demo. Before we do that, I just want to do a weight comparison of this compared to some of the other tiny whips that I've built. So this guy is about 21 grams, a little over 21 grams without the battery. And then this was the last Betaflight tiny whip that I built. And this one's a little bit heavier, almost about 22 grams, so about a gram heavier. And then here is the original with the FX798T camera. And this one comes in about 20 grams. So this is about 20, and this is this one here, the one I just built, is about 21. And then the last one that I built here from before with the low profile mod, that one is about 22 grams. And this one flies actually really well. So I know that I'm going to be gaining a little bit on the battery, but I think the battery is going to be performing a little bit better, so it's going to be probably a wash, and we'll have to see. I think we'll probably see overall an improvement in the flight time and maybe the performance, so we'll check it out. Okay, let's take a quick look at what is flashed on the board as stock, and I'm pretty sure it comes with Cleanflight, so I'm going to connect with Cleanflight configurator. And we are on, it looks like it's got Cleanflight 113. And let's see what kind of a board this is. Comes up as a SP Racing F3 Evo. And has a 6500 gyro. So it's currently got UART2 as configured as a serial receiver, the built-in FreeSky receiver. And this looks like pretty much stock settings for Cleanflight 113. Okay, so yeah, these PIDs are definitely not stock. So they have a pretty high P on the roll, pitch, and yaw. Yaw is at 185, which is pretty high actually. And these pretty high, 44, 44. So if you guys are gonna get this stock and not flash to Betaflight, then it could be fairly flyable. It's got pretty decent roll and pitch rates in here. Okay, so it's got angle and arming on aux1. It's all pretty normal stuff here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and flash this board to Betaflight, and we're going to pick the SP Racing F3 Evo target and 3.0.1. Do a full trooper race and set manual bar rate to 256,000. I'll go ahead and load the firmware and flash. Okay, so it looked like that went okay, and we'll go ahead and connect. We'll set our UR2 to serial RX like in Cleanflight. Reboot. And in configuration, change this to the brushed. And set motor PWM speed separated from PID speed. And we're going to set the motor PWM frequency to 16,000. And we'll leave all this okay for now. Change our receiver mode to RX serial and S-Bus for the built-in FreeSky receiver. I'm going to turn off our SSI, turn off the current meter. The default here is 8 and 2 for the gyro and PID loop, and I think I will leave that alone. Might change that later. Turn off telemetry, turn off black box, turn off transponder, and I'm going to turn on air mode. Reboot. Under failsafe, I'm going to change the guard time to 5 and make sure you select drop. We'll test failsafe before we actually go fly. Okay, under PID tuning, going to raise the roll and the pitch up to 80 and the yaw to 185. This is what was in Cleanflight. And then D is 44. Not sure if that's going to be good or not. We'll see when I actually go fly it, and I can make adjustments a little bit later. Let's save. And under receiver, I'm going to put in my deadband. And under modes, I'm going to have aux1 for arming, and I think I'm just going to fly acro mode for the moment. Okay, I believe that's all the settings I need to put in to get this flying. So let's get to the flight video.